Claims of sex, corruption and intrigue are the hallmarks of a scandal that's haunted the federal government for 3 years. And yet there's no resolution in sight for the case of Craig Thomson. The Labor MP's former union is now at war with itself as opposing forces fight to clean it up. The Health Services Union may have disaffiliated from Labor, but deep links remain with several key power brokers. Tonight, union leaders have spoken to 7:30 to hit back at whistleblower Cathy Jackson. Hayden Cooper reports.
When the Health Services Union goes to war, the fight is an ugly one.
Out now! Out now! Don't you bloody lay.
This is 2009, when police had to be called to a brawl at a health union meeting.
You've completely f***ed us over. Well, we think you should f*** off too.
This union's gone to the now because, you know why? You've weakened it.
Coming to my hospital and telling me it was a fundraiser for the union and it was your husband's patient.
If only these members knew what was coming. This was before the allegations of sleaze and fraud that followed. Now this union is on its knees.
It's unfortunate, it is very nasty. It's not uncommon in Victorian politics. We certainly would not want to see that situation extended to any other branches of the union.
Enough is enough. We need to get back to representing our members and not be protecting Michael Williamson and Craig Thomson.
It just seems like this war between Cathy Jackson and Michael Williamson is tearing the union apart.
That's a risk that it runs. I mean, quite clearly it is a factional war.
Outside Sydney's Prince of Wales Hospital, members of the union who pay their dues week in, week out, are wondering what's going on.
We feel as though we're lost, that we don't have a voice. We are the members of this union and we have a right to have a voice, and you know, there's lots of allegations flying all over the place, and people really want to know that the union is doing the right thing by its members, that it's not misspending its money.
This group supports the actions of Cathy Jackson, the official who's referred to police allegations of misuse of union money by Craig Thomson and his ally Michael Williamson.
The one thing I found about Cathy is that every time I've actually asked her a question, I've found I've got an honest answer. And quite frankly, at the moment, I can't say that about New South Wales officials.
But every time she speaks, the National Executive bristles.
It's certainly not appropriate that the National Secretary of the Union, in that role as National Secretary, be running that sort of commentary. We'd much prefer that Cathy didn't make those sort of statements, but she has. And that's why that as a collective, the National Executive has now come out to really set the record straight.
This is the man who's now in charge. Peter Mylan rarely speaks publicly about the war engulfing the Health Services Union. He's the acting General Secretary, while Michael Williamson takes extended leave. And he suspects Cathy Jackson, who holds the unpaid position of National Secretary, wants his job.
Oh, look, I have no doubt in my mind that that's Cathy's motives. This is clearly like a campaign that would be run, probably one that I've not seen before, but it points to all of that.
I do not want Peter Mylan's job. I'll make this quite clear. I'm not seeking a position, the General Secretary's position of this union. This is not about me.
Campaigns in this union can be rough and ready. This is one attack ad against Jackson and her allies in 2009.
You're married to Jeff Jackson!
I'm not married to Jeff Jackson! Jeff Jackson is my estranged husband!
The amateur video promoted by Jackson's enemies show her in the midst of the brawl. Proof, they say, that she's no clean skin.
Cathy never, that I'm aware of, raised any question, sought clarification, or raised with us any point that she thought was inappropriate, or in fact any of those points that she's sought the need to raise in the media. And I think by raising those in the media before any proper authority, including the police at a later stage, I question Cathy's credentials for doing that.
Mr Myland is trying to make out this allegation that I'm this wrecker of the union. What I'd like to say quite clearly to the membership is that what I'm seeking and what I've always stood for is an open and transparent organisation. We are not a secret society.
So how deep then are the links between this troubled union and the federal government? The perilous Craig Thompson connection is already clear, but many others have more than a passing interest in the factional fight. Cathy Jackson is an ally of Victorian power broker Senator David Feeney. Michael Williamson is a former Labor National President who counts Senator Stephen Conroy and Bill Shorten as friends and confidants. His daughter Alexandra works for the Prime Minister. Another senior health union official, Gerard Hayes, is the brother of federal Labor MP Chris Hayes. And union official Natalie Bradbury is the sister of federal Labor MP David Bradbury.
The factions have to get out of the HSU and let the HSU govern itself.
Police are still investigating Craig Thompson and Michael Williamson, both of whom maintain their innocence. And the Fair Work Australia inquiry goes on 3 long years after the case began.
Would like to have seen some of these investigations completed much sooner, but I don't think that's a matter for us. It's those authorities, and they take the time that they obviously have to take to address those points.
Critics of the process see Fair Work Australia as a left-wing, union-dominated body. Tim Lee was the general manager for the early part of the investigation. He's a former union leader and worked for the Victorian Labor government. His replacement and the current head, Bernadette O'Neill, is also a former union official. Everyone in this murky story wants the saga to end, from the government to the union power brokers to the 50,000 members in the nation's hospitals. And more than a few still can't believe it's come to this.
The last election, federal election, was actually in 2010. Now, the allegations were in Fair Work Australia in 2009. I'm sorry, Julia, you should have thought who you were going to put on your ticket prior to the elections. If he's guilty, he does the time. Simple.
Hayden Cooper reporting.